Josh Pate joins us now. You see him everywhere. Everywhere. Look, I just saw him on ESPN before he was on with us. What is up, Pate? How are you, my friend?
Dunaway, do you want to just publicly share the private conversation you and I have had over the past 2 minutes?
Here we go.
Yeah, because I got to do it if you don't do it. So go ahead.
All right,
I'm sitting here, and I follow Pate everywhere, as Brown says. He's everywhere.
Everywhere.
And he drops baby merchandise the other night. Pate State baby merch.
Uh-oh.
And then Cole Kubelik over at Jocks, and Pate, they're really good friends. He follows up, announcement? Question mark? And I just texted Pate. I said, hey, I missed your answer to Cole's question about was that an announcement?
You're not the only one, is my point. Do you think it was because we put the little baby in the picture that people thought that we were having a kid? And to my knowledge, we're not. Okay. That's not an outright denial. Just as far as I know,
it's in play.
We're not.
Yeah. I mean,
we are having baby onesies in the store, but we are not having a baby per se. Yeah. At least that I know.
Yeah,
of.
You're in fall camp right now. You hadn't named a starter. We get it.
There you go. Your words better than mine, per usual.
But you're not afraid to go good on good, is what I'm saying.
Wow.
No, we try and do good on good at least once a day. I'm just saying you don't always know the results that you're going to get from
That's right.
Hey, so most responsible adults don't like hypotheticals. I love hypotheticals. If you could hypothetically only watch one game this weekend, who would it be?
The ball don't lie game.
But is that the answer?
I don't know.
I'm going to Bama, Missouri. However, if you told me, you just got to be able to watch one, is it not OU Texas? Because that's the one that has the most toxic potential. And by the way, I don't know how many victory laps you've taken this week, but it can't be enough. Undefeated versus 3-2. We were sitting here in August. It was August.
Well, when I found out, it was June.
We dug it back.
Played the soundbite. It was June.
When I found out you were coming on, I got Scott, and he was great enough professional to pull this quickly. But we just played your clip, and it was June 18th.
Wow. And they called you, I don't know if they called you a Longhorn hater. I got called a Longhorn hater just for repeating you. So you had to have been labeled a Longhorn hater. And then we circle all the way around the globe to this week, and I'm being called a Longhorn homer because I actually think they're going to find some way somehow to beat Oklahoma.
I'm with you. I think they will too. And I had a guy last night. He's like, they can't. And I was like, they still have a top 10 defense. And we don't know how effective, if he's going to play at all, Mateer is going to be.
But can I tell you this? I hope John Mateer is 100%. Because I think Texas could win the game either way. Texas's ground game's been horrible. Offense has been terrible, but that's well known. I think it's less known that Oklahoma, who I am sky high on, I took Mateer to win the Heisman, so I couldn't be any higher on him. Their tailbacks in Power 4 play have averaged under 3 yards per carry. So it's not like they've lit the world on fire there either. Now, with Mateer, obviously, they got a much better shot. But if he starts snap 1 versus snap 61, I wonder what that looks like. I wonder if they have to fundamentally alter their game plan. I said this the other day. I took a lot of heat from Oklahoma folks. I said one team really wants to win the game. One team just flat out needs to win the game. Obviously, I'm referring to Texas in the latter there. And Oklahoma folks were quick to say, oh, no, that's ridiculous. You're downplaying how much we care about this game. No, I'm not. It's my favorite rivalry game to go to. I fully get what it's about. But the bottom line is if Texas loses this, their season's over. For all intents and purposes, it's over. If Oklahoma loses this game and you and I and everyone around the table are talking Monday, we're just saying all of their goals are still in front of them. That's the definition of a must win. And they got to have it. And I think, the pessimist would look at this and say, if you're Texas, oh man, now we got to play Oklahoma. The competitor would look at it and say, we've got to have a spark moment that turns our season around. If it's going to happen, wouldn't that happen against Oklahoma? If it's going to happen, if Arch is going to find his groove, if that offensive line is finally going to nut up and play like scholarship offensive linemen should play at Texas, if our tailbacks are ever going to make plays, wide receivers ever going to get separation, in other words, do what you're supposed to do when you play at Texas. If that's ever going to happen, does that not happen this Saturday in Dallas? Like, that's the way they should look at that. I'm not fingers crossed for my prediction that they do think like that.
Do you ever, if you're Brent Venables, consider if Mateer is just not 100% but wants to gut it out, do you sit him? knowing that the College Football Playoff Committee down the road has to at least factor that aspect in if you lose this football game? Does that ever play in your mind?
Yeah, most people would answer yes to this. The right answer may be yes. I hate it because I believe that rivalries, this is my own personal worldview. This is not the way college football actually works. But in my world, rivalries are the pinnacle of college football. I care about it more than I care about the playoff. So I'm in the vast minority on that. So to me, it's if you could, I don't care if you have to bear crawl over broken glass. If you can play against Texas, you play against Texas, come what may. From the standpoint of achieving their goals down the road, there's a lot of validity. There's a lot of merit to the scenario you just presented. I don't think we'll ever be privy to those conversations. I don't know, maybe years later when the book gets written. But I do wonder how much. Here's two things, Jim. Number one, how much of that is spoken? How much of that doesn't even need to be spoken? It's just kind of understood around the building. That's the second part I'd love to know.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a proponent of the playoff. I like the playoff more than you do. But the minute it starts trumping rivalry games, I'm going to have an issue. I don't disagree at all with you on that one. Josh Pate, he is the host of the Josh Pate College Football Show. You can see that on YouTube. Same place you get us, just where you get Josh. Make sure you watch it, you subscribe, you set your alerts so you know when he's live. Sell me on Missouri here. If you're an Alabama fan, you know they're good, you know they're ranked, you know they've run the ball well, but you also look at that schedule and you're like, my word, who have they even played? So why should I? And this is where the Fall Don't Lie tour is going. So why should I believe in Missouri?
Well, if you don't already believe in them, then I can't make you believe in them until they play a legit team. Same thing with Indiana. I think there's a lot of the same vibe on the Indiana-Oregon game that there is on Bama-Missouri. So the thing that I will say, if you're just watching the team, watching tape, whatever you want to call it, the fears that you normally have about Georgia, you actually should have about Missouri. You would think to yourself a couple of weeks ago, you're going into Athens, it's going to be a hostile crowd and all that. But really what you normally fear about Georgia is their ability to get after you up front defensively. But Georgia does not do that this year. And so Ty had time to throw, and he did exactly what Ty Simpson and that wide receiver corps should do against Georgia's secondary when given time to throw, and they had a lot of success. I will say Ty Simpson could have a ton of success Saturday against this Missouri secondary if he's given time to throw. The difference is they got better players in that front than Georgia does. They're more able to pressure the quarterback than Georgia was. Now, I picked Bama to win the national title, so I'm going to say we here. We've all appreciated and enjoyed this little period here of far fewer penalties, far fewer false starts, less pressure on the quarterback. That could all come undone really quickly if you lose your focus or if you just come up against really good players like Missouri has. And I think it's a big game script game too. If you're looking to be sold, if you hate Bama, you're looking to be sold that they could lose here. Well, picture it like this. Picture Missouri goes right down the field, or they bust a big run. Hardy bust a big run like Missouri did, or Vandy did on you last week, and they get an early lead, but it's at home. And then it's immediately 3rd and 11 for you, but instead of converting and moving the chains, it's them getting after you, and it's 4th and 16. You're punting, and they're already on the field again, and they start going on those time-consuming drives. And you get in the same spot you got in on the road against Florida State, where you're having to play catch-up. So you can't run a balanced offense. And all that progress Jam Miller's made and getting him back, that doesn't really matter as much. Don't think this game can't get into that territory. So the reason I say game script is because everything I just said is irrelevant if Bama goes and jumps up 13-14 nothing. And you make them a little more one-dimensional. And Bo Prabula, probably a little better with his legs than with his arm, although he's made some NFL throws this year, has to throw the ball to beat you. At that point, I feel comfortable in that kind of game for Alabama. So it's very much a how does this game start type thing for me.
Kirk Cignetti, 16-2 in his 18 games at Indiana. Finally wins the top 25. They wax Illinois earlier this year, but what he hasn't done, he hasn't beaten an elite, and he hasn't beaten an elite on the road. Now he has an opportunity. I think it's going to be tough sledding for him in Austin, but how do you think it plays out? Fernando Mendoza against Dante Moore, two really highly coveted quarterbacks, probably two guys. If we had a Heisman ceremony right now, both guys might be in New York.
I think people listening to you have probably watched Oregon. Lance, I don't think a lot of the country's watched Indiana so far this year. So they're hearing things, but they themselves haven't seen them. So they're hearing Fernando Mendoza may be the best quarterback in college football right now. I was doing stuff. I had Orlovsky this morning say that's the best quarterback from an NFL perspective in college football right now. Most people haven't watched him. Okay, regardless of what you think about that opinion, most people haven't watched him. So the way I would sell people on Indiana is you remember them last year. You remember they made the playoff. I think this version of them is a better version than that team last year. And they have a better quarterback last year. And the way I picture this game going is Oregon's going to get theirs. And there's no world where you go in there and you stuff Oregon or anything like that. So it's not that I don't think Oregon can do a lot of business against Indiana. I just think there's several scenarios where Indiana's sitting there trading points with them enough to keep themselves in the game. And it strikes me as the kind of game where Oregon kind of feels like they're in control, but they never pull away. And Indiana's just really pesky, and you find yourself watching it in the fourth quarter. And maybe Wednesday or Thursday, that spread of 7.5 didn't make sense to you. But then it's Saturday, time ticking away in the third quarter, early fourth quarter. It's a dogfight, and you're saying, wow, I was kind of wrong about this. Like maybe Oregon's not going to pull away from them. Maybe Indiana really can fight this for 4 quarters. I'm on one of those rare like middle type grounds where I think Oregon wins, but Indiana covers anything over a touchdown. So I think it's going to be a 1-possession game.
By the way, I do feel like I'm sitting in the first row of the Church of Pate with the mirrors and the lighting behind you.
Yeah,
it does feel like it's a little stained glass, and I'm sitting here and you're preaching a little bit. I'm enjoying your sermon today. We left Athens with sort of the same feeling that Georgia just looks and feels different than they have in the past. Going to Jordan-Hare this weekend, there's a case to be made for Auburn winning this game. How does Auburn beat Georgia this weekend if they're able to do it?
Oh boy. So this is the one I have to see to believe. This is the one out of all these trap games and these wounded animal mode teams at home off a bye, kind of like Florida was last week. I've still got to see Auburn do this to believe it. I think Georgia's going to win the game down there. But if Auburn is to win, very simple. Georgia, again, cannot pressure the quarterback. Magically, Jackson Arnold has time to throw, doesn't hold the ball forever, and actually, takes advantage of that skill he has out wide. Because, again, there's a big mismatch between Auburn's wide receiver core and this Georgia secondary. The thing that bites you in college football is when you can't take advantage of your mismatches, the other guy tends to really take advantage of his. And that's been kind of the story so far with Auburn this year. The thing that I fundamentally just have trouble seeing with them is I picked Florida to beat Texas last week, for example, because I thought there was a lot Florida was capable of. They just hadn't realized yet. And they realized it, to their credit, last week. I would love to come out of this bye week and say I feel similarly about Auburn. I'm having a lot of trouble finding something that I think they're fully capable of doing. They just haven't done yet. And Georgia's not some world beater version of themselves this year. So it's not that. It's not that I think that. Georgia's just a really good team. It's not elite. But they had 0 false starts on the road at Neyland. So I'm not counting on Jordan-Hare Stadium to just do the job here. Auburn's going to have to do the job as well. I'm not selling them totally down the river, but that's one where you can tell I'm struggling to make a case for it right now.
So, Pate, from 2008, 2011, Bobby Petrino, 34-17 as a head coach at Arkansas. Going back to 2011, won 8 of his last 9 games, including 4 top 15 wins. Now he gets his first opportunity as the interim coach in Knoxville. What do you expect for Bobby Petrino in this offense with Taylen Green moving forward now that he does have somewhat of an on-site audition for the rest of the year?
This is why it's good that I'm not an artist. Like if I were Daniel Moore, I'd be really tempted. I'd be really tempted to just be doing Bobby Petrino prints right now. I mean, they would sell. I would move so much merchandise right now. I think that the biggest thing that flies in the face of conventional wisdom in college football is what actually happens with a team when a coach gets fired or when a quarterback gets hurt. Because both of those scenarios would make the casual fan think, oh, there goes the season. In reality, what happens is more often than not, it galvanizes a locker room. If you've got your backup quarterback in, everyone understands we got to shoulder more of the weight. And the aggregate is you perform a little bit better than expectation. Well, it's the same thing with new coaches. You've got the advantage of knowing what you're going to do. Other guy has no clue what you're going to do. You never know how many people in the locker room were a little disgruntled, and then the head coach is out, and then all of a sudden it galvanizes them. So, dude, I think Arkansas is probably going to go in there and play the most competitive game they played all year. And it's going to then lead to some really fun Monday conversations around this table because it's going to sound a little something like this. The only question is, who's brave enough to present? Is Bobby Petrino probably the answer for Arkansas? Could we have come full circle? Should we remove the interim tag? Whenever you guys do that, I'm happy to jump on and participate in that conversation because that's really what I'm living for at this point with Arkansas.
Okay. I mean, according to Lance, that could be Monday. Are you free Monday? I know, is Monday a busy day for you? It's a pretty full day for us. I don't know if
I can make myself free.
Okay.
In those circumstances, I can be free for Bobby Monday.
Okay. All right. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We may have to circle back on this. I mean,
I'm comfortable calling it Bobby Monday.
Bobby Monday?
Yeah.
I mean, we've already got Jeremy Bernard. We've got Klatt. I mean, we can.
Let's ride.
I mean,
let's ride Monday.
That's right.
Just vroom, vroom, man.
What a show if we throw Josh Pate in there as well.
Motorcycle reference. I like
saw
it.
that, the vroom, vroom. I was thinking of a name for the Daniel Moore painting if it were Petrino, but I don't know if it makes sense. It's a funny name, but I don't know if it makes sense.
Throw it out there.
Riding bitch.
Oh.
I mean, that's the phrase if you're riding on the back of the motorcycle, but he wasn't. So I don't know if it makes sense, but it is a great name, right? Am I wrong, Pate?
What
there are a lot of great ideas.
You can go riding dirty, too.
Riding dirty.
Yeah.
You go riding dirty. Yeah.
Look, hey, if we want to go to the group text, I got 47 different names I can toss you guys. I just didn't know which ones we could present on air. I thought we may crowdsource this before we just went public with it. Someone's going to snatch the trademark.
Yeah,
you're going to lose millions of dollars on publicizing this.
Since it's a road win in Knoxville, road rash, I think is the way to
road
go.
Rash.
Yeah. Family friendly road rash.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The Josh Pate College Football Show. It is on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you go follow that. Go subscribe to it and set your alerts at Josh Pate CFB on social media. And the Fall Don't Lie Tour visits Missouri, Alabama, Missouri, the early game on Saturday. Pate, safe travels. Thank you very much for the time. Always great talking with you.
Thank you, sirs. Appreciate it as always.